Hello, and how you doing? This is reality with the So how you doing? It's in honor of Mother Wendy, of course. This is going to be my Abbott Elementary recap. Season 3, episode 7, I believe. I'm falling behind on my Abbott Elementary recaps by accident, definitely. I was going to do a recap had it come on Wednesday. But when all the piping hot tea dropped about Mr. Diddy, I decided to go ahead and do it today because I was just dropping the piping hot tea. And it just kept coming. I was going to do it Saturday. Then more tea on did it. I said, I got to talk about it. Then more tea on Mrs. Goodbody. And I said, I had to talk about that. So anyway, let's get right on into it. The episode opens up and they are playing a basketball game. It's going to be, the name of the episode, I think I said the panel. But anyway, they are playing basketball against each other. And why are the kids better than all the adults? It was sad to see. But anyway, as they are getting their butts handed to them, at the end of the quarter, Miss Barbara decides that she's going to make her a shot. And nobody is guarding her. But she don't get why nobody's guarding her. Why? She shoot the basket in the ball in the other basket. The other team basket, the students. So it was the students versus their child. I remember games like this. However, I guess maybe because at my school, they used to always put like the PE coaches against us. So they was quite athletic. So I'm not used to seeing these regular teachers, quote unquote, playing against the students. They didn't have not one PE teacher to put out there to make all the baskets for them. Because we never won. I'm just saying. But they got their butts handed to them, like I said. So this episode is about the panel. And what's going to happen is Ava is getting the invitation to make a speech to the panel or ask some questions for the parents in the district. And she's representing Abbott, and then, her soror is going to come in and represent her school, and her soror just having to be played by Tatiana Ali. And Gregory is going to be her liaison, and then Tatiana Ali's character is going to bring in her liaison. So Ava walks in. She looks at Greg, because they've been discussing the panel. And she looks at Greg, why don't you just better? My sorority sister is going to be there, and I got to win this panel. And he's like, I'm just fine for teachers talking to other teachers about the future of our students. No, you don't, says Shemete. And he's like, what is wrong with you today? Because agree? About those sorors of hers. They always put a bee in her bonnet. So we have CPR training, and you know how Shemete is about firefighter, honey. We find out that she is indeed having dalliances with the chief. And then, as she tells on him, as Jacob tells on her, she tells it back on Jacob because Jacob is also hooking up with one of the firefighters. And guess who was there? None other than Janine. Janine just can't stay away from Abbott, can she? I have never seen somebody at the district. Remember when I told you guys that when I was in school, we barely saw. If the district came, we had to fly right. What is that? Straighten up and fly right. That's what it was. We had to do that. We had to be walking like we walking down the line like we were little ducks. Because, they would be doing evaluations and such. And they never really communicated with the teachers outside of the classroom that I can recall. But here we are, Miss Janine is always there. Now Janine is she set up this CPR program, and she's also upset because and nervous because they are thinking about canceling the library program. And Barb is still angry with Schmetty because she didn't tell her that she was getting down with the chief. And she's like, I know you're not mad at me about this. I am. You could have told me that you were having, or he was courting you. Courting? Who said anything about courting? It's just, ex. Right. And then Jacob says, this is modern day. Nobody has to put labels on things. Yeah. We always say that until nobody has a label and then you see them out with somebody else. Makes you feel some kind of way knowing that you're hooking up and then he pops up with somebody else. Not that I say if I ever experienced that. Lies, I have. Now, we're at the panel and they asked Gregory how did he feel about testing. When I was a substitute teacher back in the day, I didn't like testing either. I still don't like testing. I don't like having my first grade baby come in crying about making 70s and 90s. Okay? I hate tests. I feel that if you are a good teacher, they can retain the information without testing. But, Greg gives his answer. They are the barometer of how you see the students' progress. I think you can see students' progress without testing. I think it actually puts a lot of pressure on children to just, because I know what it was like when I tested, especially standardized tests. And I know what it was like me sitting there trying to think of an answer that I think that the teacher came up with, right? That's their answer. That's technically what they retain if you really think about it. It's not what we retain and giving back to them. Because, say, for example, you asking a history question. Let's throw out there something simple like, who is George Washington? I may think George Washington was a slave trading jackass. The teacher's going to put he chopped down the cherry tree. You see what I'm saying? You see the difference there? That doesn't mean that I didn't retain when he said that earlier in that week that George Washington was a slave trader. But nobody talks about that in school, by the way. All of that I had to learn on my own. That's why it's good to, get side knowledge. And being that I have side knowledge, by the way, I think I learned more from side knowledge than taking a test. I'm going to have to agree with the other team on the no testing. So at the break, Abbott is losing. And Ava pulls Gregory to the side. You're not acting like Teacher of the Year because, they're throwing shots at him. The other team is throwing shots at him for being Teacher of the Year. But Gregory is kind of stoic in his answer. Yes. Like he's unbothered, but that's Gregory. She pulls to the side and said, we're losing. He says, there's no such thing as losing on a panel. To me, it is. You know how it is with me and my soror. I got to win this night. But have you ever heard of sorors in competition? Does that remind you of anything? Shout out to Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, you know that Wendy and Giselle are indeed sorors and have no ability amongst themselves to put it aside on the show to be a better representation of the organization. Mostly Giselle, not so much Wendy, but you know what I'm saying. Now, I do agree with Gregory on that, though. That's not a win-lose type of situation. Back at the school, Janine runs in, and she's like, Barbara's still acting funny, and she's like, what's wrong with her? I am mad that my friend of over 15 years doesn't trust me. And she said, well, I thought you would judge me. Sheminti tells her that. Of course she does. And she said, oh, boy, was I right. And she knows that Barbara does not handle things very well. So Sheminti is still trying to improve her point when she finds out that Jacob is indeed also having a little side piece over there with the firefighter. And he's like, well, you know what? she gets jealous. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? Janine says, why you didn't tell me? And he says, well, I did tell you. And you texted me back 10-4, good buddy. And then she said, oh, I'm so busy. She meant to say, not fair because you live under my roof. And he said, well, I mean, sometimes we don't tell each other everything. Well, I mean, then she said, well, you know what? I'm not even mad. I'm above all this. Yeah, of course you are, because, you still have Barbara over there mad at you. So now we're at the superintendent's office, and he's trying to, they're trying to sell the library program. He says, free, no longer free. I'm going to have to cancel the program because it's no longer free. Now, where in the hell? I know I said this in the last review. How? That must be some city school shit, because I ain't never heard of a school that had to pay for a library program. This is absolute asinine. I don't give a damn if it is on TV. I need to know. I wonder. If y'all from the big cities, not small Mississippi, let me know. Is library programs you have to pay for them? Isn't that about, doesn't that enhance learning and reading? Child, what I know. So back at the panel, where they are still losing Gregory and Ava. And so who else than Tyreek? Tyreek is the host of the panel. They are really trying to force him on us. I feel like Alex feels about Teddy. Can we not do this? Can Tyreek not show up on the show again? Not this season. I mean, he's funny, but not really. I mean, he really don't have a place. But now he's the head of the PTO, so the PTA or whatever. So now they're trying to, wiggle him in as a reoccurring person. Okay, I guess so. Anyway, he's like, how do you motivate the students? And Abel sits there for about 2 minutes. And then says, persistent. And he said, well, maybe Gregory should answer. He said, motivate. And then he talks about something about breakfast and the word motive and the root word. And child, I can't get all into that. But apparently, nobody was impressed with that answer, because as much as confusion was on the parents' face, the confusion surely was on mine. Ava has a backup plan. And who's her backup plan? No other than Mr. Johnson. And then when Ava gets ready to answer the question, Tatiana Ali jumps in and answers the question about after-school program. After-school programs are important. However, what's most important is daycare. What the hell does daycare have to do with after-school program? I guess the daycare would be for the teachers. I mean, okay, but when you're gardening and doing those things that, that's at Abbott, I think that those things are important too, because, that's how part of the reason why Gregory is Teacher of the Year. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Ava does do step team with the kids after school, too. So she wanted to big up that situation, which would have been great had Tatiana Ali not cut her off. So Ava saves the day. Janine saves the day as she normally does. And they come up with a way to save the program through a junior college. And at first he's like, junior college? And then she tries to defend junior colleges. And then he says, is it free? And she said, yes. And then he said, well, what you should have done was left that in the first place, because my jam is free. I know that's right. Because let me big up community college real quickly. I went to Jackson State University. I don't regret 1 minute of it. I don't regret my college experience. However, I probably would have less debt had I gone to a junior college first. I'm just saying. Which I planned on doing. I was going to Hines Community College down there in Raymond. However, I let my friend on this street talk me into going to a 4-year college. Well, like I said, I incurred more debt. But that's neither here nor there. I will encourage my children, although they are very, very, very smart. I will encourage them to consider trade school as well, because traders own businesses. 4-year college students, if they don't major in biology and pre-med and such as that, and law, you incur debt. Oh, how did I forget business? And you mostly end up in workforces that don't pay you for your degree. Who can talk better to that? Me. Again, I majored in psychology. Yes, they call our type of workforce emotional jobs. Jobs dealing with family and emotion. And it does. However, very difficult. Probably just as difficult as being a surgeon. Yeah, because we save lives too. But they don't pay us for it. They don't pay doctors and social workers the same thing. No. And they don't pay PhD psychiatrists the same thing as they pay psychiatrists. Shout out to Dr. Gregory. So Janine runs back into the CPR room and lets them know that the library program was approved. Yay! So she invites Jacob to go to the panel with her. And then the little firefighter there, Jacob, is having the affair with, having a little dalliance with. He says, well, I don't consider it an affair, but you know what I'm saying. They hooking up. And he says, I can't make it tonight. And he was like, did I invite you to something? He said, oh man, this dude done made me fall in love with him. Yeah, that was kind of, I like that. I tell y'all, that's how my ex-boyfriend got me. I mean, he didn't say 2 words to me. He just dropped his phone number and his name on a piece of paper. When I got back to my table at lunch, there it was. I just thought that was so special. Dudes don't do stuff like that no more. They just come up to you, slap your ass, and then end up in the Me Too movement. Back at the district, you can tell Janine is really missing teaching because she sees a picture of her and her students. You knew that was coming. So back at the panel, Gregory talks about what he knows. They say what makes a successful teacher. And Ava answers first, I'm only as good as my teachers. And then Gregory talks about why he started the gardening program, because the kids need something to do after school. Don't they though? Why don't we have more programs in these small towns? As much violence is hit in these small towns, trust me, we are not putting forth the effort to make children to understand how important education is and how unimportant the street life is. Because a lot of times, let me speak on the Black community. In the Black community, we tease children for being smart. That's the most asinine, ridiculous shit I ever heard of. I wish my baby would come home and tell me that somebody teased her because she's smart. I said, well, you just teased them because they dumb as fuck. And we revel in it. And that hasn't changed. That was the same way it was when I was in school in the 80s and the 90s. We picked at kids for being nerds. It's foolishness. Let me just say, not me. I've always been the non-bullying, non-threatening type. I'm just saying. And never a mean girl, even though I kicked it with the mean girls at times. But that's because I'm a social butterfly. That's what they used to tell me. I still kind of think that I am that way. Just saying. Oh, by the way, I really did used to judge the mean girls. I used to be like, don't do that. Don't say that. They kicked me out the mean girl club. So that listening question that Gregory answered, or that statement that he made, that really made Janine feel really good and warmed her little soul. And then they announced that Abbott lost, and it's like, how do you lose a panel? Right. Okay. This was a panel basically to see what both schools are capable of and how they can improve upon, working with each other. That's what it should have been. But anyway, moving right along. Ava big ups her team, and she's like, and my team is exit on top of that. And she said, I'm just talking about Gregory. Barb, have you seen Barb and Shementi? And then even Janine on a good day. Now Janine wear those knit dresses, baby. Those little striped knit dresses. I know they are totally 90s because I had a couple. But baby, I still had a little budge in the front and a little budge in the back. You know what I'm saying? I got junk in the trunk. Naturally, by the way. But I said all that to say, Janine looks good on this show. Period. Dash. But Ava has to throw her little jabs at her. So, technically Abbott is a docuseries. So, she tried, Tatiana Ali's character tries to throw another shot at Ava and say, nice that you got a little camera crew that you pay for. Oh, no, ma'am. I don't pay them. They came to my school, free to document Abbott's glory. You better say that, Ava. I loved it. She got her in the end because all she could do was purse her lips together and walk away. Yes, walk away, diva. So in the end, Abbott wins as they usually do because the activities program director over the whole district commends who else? None other than Gregory about his gardening program. And he says, I can give you a grant, baby boy. And then Janine lets them know that her grant program was also successful. And, she says, did you know that Jacob is hooking up with the EMT? And then he's like, to my hobby, yeah. Then Jacob says, read your text, Janine. Right. You would know these things if you weren't so busy down to the district and also minding Abbott's business. And then in the end, the janitors get to speak, and they ask Mr. Johnson, what does he think about the difference between AI and, regular janitor? He's like, our job is not easy, and it's not. Shout out to service workers. They don't get the credit they deserve. And I'm with Mr. Johnson on that. And then they talk to the little robot, and robot, he's like, let's hop down here and just mop the floor. Baby, when I had my iRobot, that little, don't get me started talking about that. Had I had a Mr. Johnson in my house would probably be clean, spick and span by now. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That was my episode recap of Abbott Elementary. Again, I love this show. I do the recaps, and it's a labor of love. But I extend that same love to you all. I say, come on in. Enjoy the recaps of Abbott Elementary. If you love the show, you will love my recaps. And that's that on that. Now, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell button. Share the video because sharing is caring. And as I do when I close, I'm going to chunk them up. Deuces.